So the real question is, did Prime Minister Justin Trudeau avoid something major, or did he have anything to do with the tariffs being at least delayed for 30 days? Here we are as Canadians, we were put on red alert is what happened because President Trump did turn around and he basically said to Canadians, you know what, if you don't clean up your borders, if I don't see some activity, I am going to turn around and I am going to create tariffs. Now, of course, what happened? Red alert in Canada, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, our actual leaders pretended to have some pride. Now, here's the thing, for most of us, we know that, Prime Minister Trudeau, he's on his way out. He hasn't thought of Canadian first, not even once in the last 9 years. And as a Canadian, I got to tell you, I'm embarrassed to actually have this guy called the Prime Minister of Canada, considering, hey, I never voted for him, never would. Would he even sit there and put him on the PTA at your local school? Because this guy can't make a decision for the right reason at all. Now, one of the problems that I did have, though, was the fact that with President Trump, it seems like the Canadian government was playing a bait and switch. They wouldn't tell President Trump what he was truly asking for. Now, of course, there was a whole bunch of people, the left-leaning liberals that kept saying, oh, that's not really what Trump wants. Trump wants to make it the 51st state. Let's all put that on the back burner for a minute. When President Trump had the conversation with the president of Mexico, and by the way, she's new, Claudia Sheinbaum, she's only been the president of Mexico for basically 4 months. She immediately turned around and said, okay, President Trump, I will turn around and I'm going to allocate people to the border and I'm going to do what you need to do. So what did he do first thing in the morning? He turns around and said, tell you what, I'm going to delay tariffs for the next 30 days. Let's see how you make out. Well, it took more than that for Prime Minister Trudeau to get his shit together to actually tell President Trump that he was going to focus on borders. But again, the narrative, the Mark Carneys of the world, the Chrystia Freelands, and especially Trudeau kept saying, that's not the real reason why he wants, tariffs. No. But the funny thing is, when you finally conceded and said, I'm going to try to do something to the Canadian borders, we're going to allocate some spending there, $1.3 billion, which is not a whole lot of money when you think about it, considering what he gave to the Ukraine. When we take a look at the big picture, you know what? We finally are going to try to make an effort. Now, what I find appalling, though, with our Canadian politicians, once again, is the fact that one of the premiers, Danielle Smith out of Alberta, she actually had mentioned that, why don't we do it? She was the one talking about it for Canada the entire time during the negotiation. And what ends up happening? Well, you know what? That was the one lever that President Trump needed to have. So we would be told that, hey, listen, we're going to put your tariffs on hold for 30 days. Now, here's the thing. In discussion, so here's Justin Trudeau's tweet. I just had a good call with President Trump. Canada's implementing our $1.3 billion border plan, reinforcing the border with new choppers, technology, blah, 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 blah. 10,000 front line. Okay. You know what? Here's the thing. And they're actually going to get a fentanyl czar, okay? Sort of like a border czar. Well, the fentanyl czar. Why is it taking so long for the leaders of Canada to actually get their shit together and deal with this? We got problems with our ports. We got problems with our borders. Yeah, the drugs are real. And when people sit there and say, well, it's really not that much. It doesn't take much to kill millions of people when we talk about fentanyl. And for the clear sake of what has happened with all the threats and everybody going on red alert, unbelievable how embarrassing it is for the leaders of Canada to deal with what they're going to deal with. Then you got Mark Carney jumping in, because right now we've got a pro-road government, and the fact is that Mark Carney sits there and goes, oh, I'm going to be all tough. I'm going to turn around and stand up to him. You're a nobody, okay? You haven't been elected to anything. There's not a Canadian that's elected you in, okay? You're not the party leader yet, but meanwhile, you're sitting there acting all tough, saying, we're going to hit tariff to tariff. Well, clearly you don't know how to negotiate. And there's one of the biggest problems is that going forward in the political life, in especially North America, you're going to have to learn to negotiate. The entire political group right now in power need to be gone. Now, here's one more person that I just can't believe. This guy, he thinks that he can sit there and brawl it out. That's right, Premier Doug Ford of Ontario. When he turned around, and I can't believe that he turned around and said, let's pull all U.S. alcohol off the shelves in all our LCBOs. Well, question for you, Premier Ford. Have we not already paid for that alcohol? So it's not like it's on consignment. So you wanted to pull it all off the shelves, and guess what? You had to pay the laborers to do it. Then you wanted to put it in the warehouse, and guess what? It's all going back out today. So did you really do anything? Could you not thought, hey, let's wait a little while and then we can react? No, you came out swinging like a hood. Okay, like seriously, what were you thinking? And then in the same breath, you took on Elon Musk and said, well, we're going to stop, the Starlink contract for $100 million. And then what did you have to do? After he said, oh, well, a couple hours later, you realize that it's actually the only solution for some of the northern areas to have some form of internet or some kind of communication. So again, listen, I'm going to apologize to, our American neighbors. Okay. Do I believe that, we should be threatened with tariffs? No. But in actual fact, I'm embarrassed for the people that we have that are running our country. I know that most of my listeners, none of you would have voted for the people in power right now. And quite frankly, the sooner that we get them out, the better we will all be off. And again, remember, the ticker's already started. So 30 days comes real quick. You know what? If we don't do the correct things, we're going to get threatened with tariffs again, and we're just going to watch this seesaw battle happen until somebody actually takes this stuff seriously. Speaking of seriously, one of the things that we do take seriously here at the show is, more importantly, we watch out for our fellow Canadians and fellow Americans. I think everybody should be watching out for their family, their friends, and the next generation. Something very, very important to everyone. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Love to hear your comments on Todd C. Slater.